As you probably know, modern Nick Jr. sucks. Very much. But that's not what we're here to talk about. What you probably don't know is that they released a new show last month called Tim Rex in Space. The show is about a family of dinosaurs who live in space. Okay. That is the weirdest yet coolest premise I've ever seen in a preschool show. Dinosaurs in space. Well, at least it's unique. And honestly, as long as it's not another Paw Patrol or a generic superhero show, I'll take what I can get. So, let's see if this show can make up for Nick Jr.'s lack of quality in the past few years. First, let's talk about the art style. And honestly, it's kind of a mixed bag. Don't get me wrong, it is colorful enough to grab your attention, and it's refreshing to see a 2D animated kids series in a world dominated by CGI. But I'm really not a big fan of these character designs. I like simple designs, but these characters look too simple. Almost to the point where they're just unmemorable. Good character designs don't necessarily have to look detailed, but you should be able to tell what their personality is just by looking at them. But nothing about these characters really stand out, which makes them look a lot more bland than they actually are. Also, when I mentioned this show in a community post, most of you called it a rip-off of The Amazing World of Gumball, and yeah, I can definitely see that. Look, the art style is fine, but it's just unremarkable. And now, for the most important part of these reviews, talking about the characters. And I will say this, these main characters have way more personality than most preschool protagonists nowadays. The titular Tim Rex is energetic and slightly rambunctious. Tia is the naive and sensitive little sister. And Tommy is the slightly more mature one, I guess. There's not really that much to these characters, they're pretty basic, but they're likable enough to where you wanna see them succeed. And at least they actually have real personality traits other than being nice. Ya hear that, Disney Jr.? Even Nick Jr. knows how to write decent protagonists. You better be taking notes. If I had to complain about anything, it's that the voices can be a bit grating at times, especially when they yell.
Shooting star, here we come!
Yes.
This is Dino Galactic!
I don't like to dish on child voice actors, but if you're gonna hire actual kids to do the voices, then you're gonna have to do a better job at direction, because these kids are clearly inexperienced. And as for the stories, they're fairly simple and straightforward. One episode, they try to make a movie, and in another, they're trying to make a present for their grandma. You know, typical preschool stuff. But honestly, that's kind of the problem with this show. You've seen these plots, these lessons, and even these character types before in a bunch of other preschool shows, and unfortunately, this show just doesn't do anything to stand out. And I know what you're gonna say. Why are you always finding something to complain about? Can't you just enjoy something? And look, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy this show. The stories do have some charm to it, and the dinosaurs in space setting is undeniably cool, but beyond that, everything else just screams, been there, done that. I wish I could say more about this show, but there's really nothing to it. With Rubble and Crew, I could go on and on about how awful it is. And with Kia and the Kimoha Heroes, I could go on and on about how awesome it is. But as for Tim Rex, it doesn't really give me a lot to work with. Like I said many times on this channel, there's nothing wrong with being simple, but this show just doesn't stand out in any meaningful way. So, what do I think of this show overall? I mean, it's technically good. The art style is colorful, the characters are somewhat likable, and I do find myself getting a little invested in these stories, but nothing about it makes me interested to watch more episodes. As far as preschool shows go, this one is slightly above average. Not bad, but nothing special either. That said, this show is way better than most modern preschool shows, and as long as kids have something to watch on Nick Jr. that isn't Paw Patrol, then I'm glad it exists. Anyways, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments what you think of Tim Rex in Space. And until next time, party on.